which is used today. We are taking into consideration these two frameworks because this is there in market from some time now, correct? So jQuery and Dojo has been stable in market for some time now. So we would want to take these two as technologies. So when we say this, we are not here to say that one is popular over other. We are not saying that jQuery is popular than Dojo or Dojo is popular than jQuery. You have a lot of sites which are built on jQuery. You also have a lot of sites built on Dojo as well. Both of them are equally popular. When you take them distinctly, both of them are equally popular. But we are going to say that when a scenario is given to you, especially when you have an enterprise kind of application, why the developer's decision goes for Dojo, especially when it comes to widgets. So we are taking the widgets part of jQuery and Dojo, and how do you make a decision on going for Dojo? What are the features of Dojo which makes a developer to go for it whenever a heavy duty application comes into picture? So that is what we are going to focus today. So with this introduction, we'll go to the next slide. So let us have a quick look at the widgets which are available in jQuery and Dojo. Fine. So we'll look at this online site here, which has jQuery theme. So you might have seen this site many times. jQuery has a widget library called as jQuery UI. So if you go to this site, it shows you around 26 different themes which jQuery offers, and there are a couple of widgets which it offers too, right? So this site is all about that. See around 2 to 3 layout managers. You would also see a couple of widgets like buttons, you would see dialogues, you would see auto-completer widgets. So if you see, there are bits and pieces of widgets. It's not a full-fledged widget library because they are trying to add more with the new version of it. But what it is rich with is the theme set. You have 26 different themes, as I told you, which are built in. Along with 26 themes, it also has a provision to roll your own theme. So you can actually go to any of the themes available. You can go to the theme roller online site. You can change the CSS properties like say font color or background color, and then you can say download the theme for this. The modified version of CSS will be downloaded for you. That means you totally write no CSS, but you will be able to download the custom theme. So this is one of the features which is a key feature in jQuery theme roller. Similarly, we have the same thing for Dojo. Now this slide talks about the Dojo's theme tester page. So if at all you have downloaded Dojo and if at all you have visited this page, you would have seen that this theme tester gives you again various widgets available in Dojo. Along with that, various themes available in Dojo. When I talk about themes, Dojo has only 4 built-in themes. But then it has a very vast widget library. The widget library of Dojo is called as Digit. And along with Digit, it also has something called as Dojo X. Now we are familiar, I think if at all you are a Dojo programmer, you are familiar that Dojo X stands for extensions or experimental. The widgets which are not finalized or baselined will usually go as part of the Dojo X part of the library. So both of these basically have a very huge set of widgets. So there is a form widget, there is a layout manager, there are data grids available, there are menus, drop down, so you name it and you have it in Dojo. So it's a complete set of widget library. Yes.
Okay. We need to connect it. This one? Okay.
Theme is basically a set of CSS and JavaScript files. So when I say you're trying to get a date picker, so you will have a datepicker.js, associated with that will be a datepicker.css. It's a combination of both. CSS will give you that look and feel, whereas JS will give you the interactivity. That means the event handling, when you change a date or when you pick up something. So it's combination of both of them. So as a developer, I do not write much of a code when it comes to look and feel, but I get everything from the library itself. Fine. So that is about the.
So when we download the theme, that CSS we have to replace with a particular widget.
When you download a theme will usually come as part of your jQuery or Dojo download itself. You just have to give a link, the style sheet link, and it will automatically pick up from there. So let us move on.
Okay.
Yeah. Show Dojo.
Dojo theme tester.
So let us see if we are able to get it now. Is it? Okay.
It's, I see it online.
Just check once again for our reference.
Okay. Really. You mean?
1 second.
One second. Let me check one. Is it not connecting? They say it's working offline. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just.
It is very slow. Reaction. What is the? Okay. Is it okay? I think it's
Something is coming now. Okay.
Okay.
So it's a digit theme tester page which is coming up, and then we have the entire list of widgets available here. If at all we are still not able to get it due to network problems, you can always refer to this online. If you just type in digit theme tester, it will give you the complete list of widgets which are available in digit, and you can also switch between themes. That option is also available, and when you switch, how the look and feel of the page changes according to the theme CSS is also visible there. So in the meanwhile it loads, may take some time. So let us make a comparison here, a quick small kind of comparison, wherein what we saw in Dojo, I mean which we are yet to see because of the network issues, we have a wide variety of widget set. That doesn't mean that you cannot do the same thing with jQuery. jQuery still is coming up with a lot of things. At the same time, it has a wide variety of plugins. If you just go to jQuery plugins, you have a wide variety of plugins. You can actually donate plugin to the jQuery, and there are a lot of people who have already donated plugins also. The only issue which you face with plugins, so anything you want, you just type in saying get me the jQuery plugin for this, you will get it online. So it is such a huge set of plugins available. The standardization of these plugins is one of the major challenges because each of these widgets are developed by different people. So each of the person, a person like me, would develop a plugin and donate. So it is a challenge to maintain so many developers' versions in your application. That's the first challenge. Each one of them might have developed the code using different coding standards, different best practices, correct? So it is not uniform across your application. It would have been very good if all these plugins are part of your standard download so that your application is uniform across, which is happening in case of Dojo. So if it's a small set of requirement, you have 1 or 2 plugins, you may probably still go for jQuery. But if you need lot of widgets, then it is a good choice to go for something which is providing you the widget set as part of its standard download, correct? That is one of the challenges. The second challenge we have is theming these things. We just now saw that there are 26 themes in jQuery, correct? These 26 themes are applicable only for the ones which you download from the site. But the ones which are donated as plugins by a person like me, I may not maintain the versions of 26 different themes, and I may not be able to switch between those many themes. The plugins donated might be developed with respect to only 1 or 2 themes. In case you are using any other theme, in that case your plugin will not be able to switch between those themes. So theming becomes another challenge. So those two are the major challenges when it comes to jQuery plugins. Whereas if you go for a Dojo plugin, Dojo widget library, apart from having those widgets as part of its standard download, it has additional support also. It supports internationalization, it supports localization. The widgets what you have, they are localized. At the same time, you have internationalization support as you have it in frameworks like Struts and JSF. Not up to that sophisticated level, but to the basic level, it also supports internationalization, and there are a lot of applications which do use the Dojo's internationalization support. So that is another advantage we have. And then we have provision for disabled people, so visually impaired people or people who are not able to see at all. There are special code which gets executed in Dojo for such people. So there are very few frameworks which address the first issue here, which is provision for disabled. So let me take an example here. So if you see the screenshot, Now this is a Dojo theme tester screenshot which you saw some time back. This is for visually impaired people or probably color blindness people, and if you see the highlights there, it is highlighting so that it is very evident. The same thing if you try out with jQuery, if you just turn your monitor on the high contrast mode, you will be able to see this. But the same thing if you do in jQuery, the widgets are not very evident. You will not be able to make out the difference, but here it gets highlighted if you see there, and that is automatically happening in Dojo because they have taken care of all these internal settings. So that is another advantage. Let me see if the Dojo theme tester has come up.
Advantages of jQuery when you have to choose between jQuery plugins and standard Dojo widgets. Yeah.
Now let us have a look at some of the specific widgets, the widgets which are worth taking it as individual attention. So some of those which we use very frequently in most of the applications. Forms, we see forms everywhere, right? So most of our applications have forms. Now when I talk about form, one is the support for form widget. So jQuery has very minimal support for form widget. I think there is only button and autocompleter and very few things available as part of jQuery. Whereas in Dojo, as part of digit, you have a digit.form package. In this package, you have almost all the widgets which are there in typical UI. The HTML markup, whatever it gives you, the same thing is available as part of the digit form package. So it is starting from the smallest thing like horizontal rule to the any biggest thing like a date picker which is not there in the native HTML markup. Everything is available as part of the digit library. Along with this support of look and feel for form widgets, it also has a validation support. Now if you look at this, so let me just show you an example on this. So this is an example here of a validation, and you can see this is a very simple validation, but then I have done it with zero code using Dojo. If you do this, you will totally see that it is taking care of null field validations here because I have mentioned that these fields are required fields. And if at all I write something here, some number, now it is accepted. Now I have also entered, I can also mention that I want to apply a regular expression validation here. So you just need to give the regular expression. You don't need to do any kind of coding there. You just need to mention the regular expression and it automatically takes care of the coding. So this is email ID validation I have. So if I write something like this, I can actually get it validated, and anything other than that again gives you a validation failure. Correct? And one more very interesting thing here is you have something called as checking the password. Most of the times when you are changing your password, it says old password, new password, verify password and all that. There is a built-in control available as part of digit here. You can actually compare your password and validate the same password. In case you enter differently, Dojo just identifies it again without any coding here. So if I enter something here and if I fail to enter the same thing here, it says passwords do not match. Now these are very small things, but then if at all you want to do the same thing with other frameworks, you have to write code for it. But this is done without any coding, just by giving the Dojo type. I just have to mention the Dojo type as the password validator type. If at all I have to use this. Similarly, I mentioned the first one as validation text box. Instead of saying text box, I say validation text box. It becomes a validator there.
Will they support the, extending the rules further?
Extending the?
Rules, validation rules. Let's say my password should consist only.
Yes, that is what we have done for the validation text box actually. Even the same thing can be applied here. We have done it already for this email ID field. We have written a regular expression there, and that is the reason it is giving the error. The same thing you can write for any text box.
But how can we mention the count? 8 to 30?
You have to write the regular expression in which you can, the normal JavaScript regular expression, wherein you mention that first 3 letters you have to have a letter, or the normal way, whatever you write for JavaScript. You want to see the
caret n, right? So caret 3.
How do we customize the message? How we want it? You have
These are coming from the customized message only. These are customized message if you want to.
Use sources.
extend the widget.
Yes, we are coming to that. Extending widget is taken as a separate thing.
Would this become moot once HTML5 is standardized across all browsers? Because HTML5 is going to support all these things that you mentioned right now.
Correct.
So then why would I need a form
if your concern is only form, then you have lot of other options also. But when we talk digit as a whole,
We're talking about the native HTML, since native HTML5 supports this.
Correct.
I was wondering why you don't even add anything more on top.
but this is something which is already there actually.
I understand that.
Correct. So it is very evident that when a new thing comes up, if at all if it is better than that, of course people would go for it. In that case, of course, these people would come with more and more enhancement. So right now, yes, I do understand that's a challenge, that HTML5 is offering too many things, which is actually preventing not only for Dojo, people not going for any other framework. If they have some of the simplest requirement, you can just go for HTML5 instead of going for a JavaScript framework. It is very true.
Yeah, one more thing I would like to add on is HTML5 is still upcoming library. So and Dojo and jQuery are already stabilized more or less. So it takes some time for them to come up with such, you can customize widgets here. You have internationalization support. You have so many navigators. So to reach that level, I think it should take some time. So till then.
Okay. Yeah, you want to see the code here? You can just see that there is a regular expression here. Is it visible? This is for your password validation. So that is, and this is the message which we are writing. Please enter a valid email address. So it's actually customized only for now.
And if I need to parameterize the message,
Pardon me?
if I need to, put some runtime value as part of the message, like the email ID that you have entered, and this is the email ID. I know that it's clear that somebody has entered.
It is not possible as part of this, but you can always customize it. As part of extension, it is possible. We will come to that. You can actually say $, and then pick up the value.
Right.
We'll come to that actually when we come to the extension of widget. Fine. Okay, so let us move on to some of the general purpose application widgets. Now, the first and the foremost, again very important one which we use is layout, managing a layout. I think some time back, if you have been into the web development from some time, you may know that earlier we were using divs altogether, and then you say div float right, float left, and it was a very difficult thing to create a layout for an application, especially if you have a header, you have a footer, you have left hand menu or right hand menu. It was very difficult. But today if you see, there are a lot of applications which are coming up with these layouts. You have tab containers, you have accordion containers. Now Dojo comes up with something called as a border container, and a border container can have at max 5 regions. So it is already identified as a header. You have a left menu, you have a right menu, and you have a footer, and then you have a center section which can have some content. And for an Ajax application wherein you only load part of the page, it is a very good approach to go for, because only the center section can be refreshed with each of your menu click or any of the other actions. So if you look at this page, it is actually consisting of other components also. You have the Dojo menu, you have a Dojo toolbar there, you have an accordion, you have the tree, and you also have the grid, the editor for Dojo. So if you look at that, very few of the applications have inbuilt editors. So if you see there is an editor available in case you want to do some kind of compose. The editor plugin is already available as part of Dojo, as part of the standard download. You don't have to go for a third-party plugin on editor. Similarly, you have other containers, tab container again, most of the other frameworks also do have, and there is something called a stack container which is there in Dojo here. If you look at that, again this might be very familiar to you. You can either switch between these by clicking on them, or you can actually switch by navigating to those 2 buttons there, or you can time them. You might have seen most of the sites when it automatically switches from one tab to another. You can do that using a stack container, because you have methods to say go forward and go backward. You can call those methods on some frequency of time so that you can time them accordingly. So let us have a look at a demo which is showing that. So this is the border container we have, and this is the stack container I have. Right now I am switching like this, correct? And I can also switch previous. I can also time these so that these happen automatically, in which case you can also stop them, choose the individual tabs, but also you can time by using some of the JavaScript timing functions. So let us move on to one of the, again, very popular widget we have is data grid. So data grid in Dojo is very, very vast. Again, for the same reason that it has been there from a very long time. Initially, grids were part of digits. Then they wanted to enhance it and they were moved as part of Dojo X. So even till today, grid is part of Dojo X. So if at all you want to use a data grid, you have to import it from the Dojo X package of it. And along with data grid, they are also trying to add tree grid and enhanced grid, which are again enhanced versions of grid. Each of the grid, if you look at this, you can have editable or non-editable. When it comes to editable grids, you have fields which are editable as text boxes. Along with that, you can also have check boxes, you can have drop downs, you can have date pickers and so on. And you have lot of functions, other functions which operate on grid. So if you look at this, the data grid is themable. Compare this with grids which are offered as plugins for other sites. So for example, you have a grid available for jQuery also, it's called as JQ Grid. It's a third-party tool, but very popular today. It is almost kind of giving an equal competition to the Dojo's data grid. But then the place where it lacks is one is theming, because it is not themable, it's a plugin, correct? I think it doesn't support all those 26 different themes, and then it doesn't have keyboard support to the fullest. The data grid which is there in Dojo, you can completely navigate it using the keyboard also. You don't have to every time use your mouse and navigate. That support is not available in other third-party grid tools which you import. We are all familiar that we usually make use of something called as a store to read the data in the grid from server. Along with that, we can also do all the insert, update, delete operations. And you also have some events which keep listening onto the grid. That means when you set a value on the grid or when you want to edit something, you can check whether the set value is valid. You can check whether a cell is editable. Are you trying to edit something which is not editable? It can be checked that way. So there are a lot of things which are operated on the grid. It's called as grid events. And you also have something called as extension point. A typical extension point is something which will extend the feature of the basic grid. So basically we always read the value from backend. I can also read the value or I can also generate the value, reading value from the UI of your grid. So for example, let me show you a demo on that, which is trying to get the value from. So if you look at this, the value which is calculated here. So I have some data here and then I have some build hours, some data here, correct? I am calculating average per week. Now this average per week is not coming from backend. It is calculated in the UI. By looking at the value of this column, it gets calculated. So the minute you change this, even that gets reflected. Now this is very useful if at all you have maintained something like an admin console and you want to change here and then you want to save it back to the database. So you don't want to unnecessarily do this on the server side, a very small kind of calculation. This is just an example. You can do any kind of calculation. You can probably, if you have a student record, student database, you are trying to do a CGPA or you are trying to do, trying to add something, and so you have an admin console for that. You have some data on the columns. The same data can be used and you can generate the remaining column data and then you can save that data on the server. So these kind of things can actually reduce the load on the server as well. So that's called as get extension. Get is the extension which is used in data grid for getting the value from the column. So you can say instead of reading from a store, you get and you generate using a function. Okay. Similarly, you have something called as formatter. As the name indicates, the formatter means that you want to probably format the data. It is not changing the data, you are getting the data, but you want to display it in a different way. It could be a date, it could be a currency value, or it could be something which I have taken as an example there, wherein I am trying to give a link to a file. I don't want to give the complete file name there, probably it's a very big URL, correct? I don't want to display that there. I just want to give either an icon. You might have seen that in many places wherein you get a PDF, you get an XLS, or you get a Word doc. When you click on that, you actually link to the URL of the file. So same thing is done here. Instead of that, we have used the names of the extensions of the file. I am saying PDF, TIFF, doc, zip. When I click on it, it is actually going to the file name. It could be something like a priority. You are indicating 012. Instead of writing 012, you write some icons of different colors. Red indicates the highest priority and then yellow and so on. Correct? So all those things can be contributed as part of formatters. Formatters is in fact one of the very widely used extension point in practical scenarios. So this is what we have in brief about data grids in Dojo, but there is much more to add. And as I told you, there is something called as enhanced grid also, which has drag and drop support for the basic grid.
Give the example of a store which you are using in this.
Right now, this is using a JSON file, not using a JSP, which is generating JSON. You want to see the JSON? Okay. So this is using employee.json. So this is how the data is coming in.
Where do we use it?
But this is using Ajax call here. Okay, I cannot. I'll have to run it on Firefox to show you the trace of Ajax call, but then it is making an HTTP request there and getting the data. If at all you want, you can have a JSON library which is reading the data from a database. You can, you are free to choose any JSON library which is available, right? So you can choose any of them. You can generate this data. You have some more query. You said something.
If it is coming from directly from the server, like how can we use it?
No, it is coming from server, but then the data is getting generated as JSON already. It is not reading from database. So you're asking about database?
Yeah, like
If it is from database, then you have to use a JSON library. We have a lot of libraries available, right? If you want, I have the code. I can share it with you even offline. Because if you just say JSON library, you get a lot of JSON library references. The one which I'm using is JSON tag lib. You can use that library, read the data from database, and generate this kind of response, which is in the form of key value pair. You will be able to. No, there are around 8 different stores which Dojo has. There is XML store, there is CSV store and all that. We are taking JSON because JSON is very popularly used today. So JavaScript object notation. There are other stores also available.
So the server side has to return, if you use XML store, the server side has to return the XML.
XML data, yes. Fine?
How is the performance of the data?
Performance when comparing to something or as such?
In general, because
In general, of course, the very obvious performance issue comes when you are reading very large records, in which case we may have to go for something kind of paging, which is again supported in Dojo. We can go for paging. As far as my project experience is considered, the data grid gives an issue when you are reading a lot of data from database. That is when it tries to kind of hang. The alternate for that is going for pagination, reading only the required data.
so about how much data set did you say about, say, 100 records per day?
What I worked on was having around, I think, 50,000 records or something. So for which it was trying to give an error. I think 100 records should not be a problem.
Say 100 into 100 because it's going to be great.
Correct. So usually if you're reading 100 rows per at a time, it should be fine.
You will have formatters inside.
Correct.
The moment you display all those.
Correct. As and when these functions increase, like style row, formatters, get, again it leads to the performance. They are all add-ons. I'm just talking about plain 100 records, but as you said, if you have formatters or if you have styling each of the rows and all that, then again it reduces the speed of that particular application. See, there are a lot of techniques which improve the performance. I think we have a section towards the end which actually talks about performance, where we can do some kind of lazy loading. If the application has too many widgets which also contribute to the slowness of the data grid, we can actually optimize that. We will come to that as well.
Just one last question on the grid.
Yes.
Since you mentioned JQ grid and I use that extensively, it provides by default the filtering capability.
Correct.
Like you can search across all columns.
Correct.
So does this come with Dojo Atlas by default?
Actually, in Dojo, you have to make use of a plugin, or you can make use of enhanced grid. So it is not available as part of data grid, but then there are a lot of other extensions which are available as part of enhanced grid.
Pagination support is inbuilt or we have to build it into the server side?
Pardon?
Pagination support. Suppose we have 1,000 rows. And
It is supported on the client side. The Dojo itself supports pagination.
I had experience in this data grid,
Okay.
okay. My database contains, it's around
1 lakh.
million record will be, 1 million record has to be kept
Correct.
in the database and it should run the browser.
Correct.
That time when we used the Dojo data grid, right, it's hanged because it cannot be generate the JSON object, 10 million records should not be generated.
Correct.
So that time what we have to do is we have to filter out, say, at a time send only 10,000 records at a time.
Correct.
Then on
True.
Wait, scroll.
down that scroll, right, on the runtime we can send a request to the server.
Correct. That is what people usually do that. I mean, you get only chunks of records.
Correct. But to avoid this one, we can go for the other approaches like the flex database.
Correct.
We can runtime fly, on the fly we can get the data from the database.
Correct.
Compared to this one, that would be.
Correct. No. Okay. So again, if you compare, then we'll have to. I mean, we are just comparing the feature set of jQuery and Dojo here. If you compare, there are other frameworks again, which have more features when it comes to grid.
Dojo is somewhat better.
Correct.
Dojo,
You have ext.js also. That also has grids. Whatever options he mentioned, the filtering and all that. It is the grids there are more extensive. But then the comparison now is, so we are just keeping up to that. You have a lot of alternatives that way.
And the problem with Flex is the kind of server, if you have to connect to the server, it has a whole set of protocols. It's not that easy when you compare to, so everywhere you have its own advantages and disadvantages.
when you go for that 10,000 million records, at the time you have to attendance, you have to go for that.
Exactly, that is there. But again, learnability and the amount of code you have to write to just make a server call, so configuration. Yeah, it automatically generates the methods and all that stuff. Yeah, that is there. That is there. But it's not completely customizable anyway. It's okay. I'm not basically looking. Okay.
Okay. So let us move on to the. Just a quick look at the architecture. We had a overall look at the widgets, what both of these have, and we took some of the widgets into special attention, like forms, layouts, and grids. Correct. Now, what makes Dojo much more special is the architecture on which it is built. It is completely modularized. When you download Dojo, you get 3 different folders. You might have noticed. You get Dojo Digit and Dojo X. Each of those have different set of files. Along with that, if you download a source version, you also get a folder called as util, which has some of the utilities like the Dojo test engine. You have the Dojo shrink safe. You have the Dojo's build script folder, and so on. So all those things are modularized, and it is like a typical object-oriented application or framework, which is giving you access to everything using an object. So if you compare jQuery and Dojo, jQuery is more functional, whereas Dojo comes up with more support for object-oriented nature. And you have something called as Dojo base, which is your dojo.js, which is the base folder, and on top of which sits is the core. And then you have your digit, Dojo X, and if at all you develop a custom widget, even that sits on your core of the Dojo. And then you have util in case you download the source version of Dojo. So if you are not interested in customizing the build, or if you are not interested in the looking at the source code, you can just go for the development release, which will just have 3 folders: Dojo, Dojo X, and digit. Fine?
Where the core is coming to the picture? Core.
This is a JS file which loads your basic features like DOM manipulation, XHR, XML HTTP request, and if at all you have your FX, that comes as part of the Dojo base. And then if at all you have more like internationalization, all those things come under the core package. Whatever you have Dojo, right, that is actually a Dojo core. In that, your dojo.js is your base file, which takes care of bootstrapping and all that. And then you have an exclusive folder for digit, you have an exclusive folder for Dojo X, which have the plugins and widgets available. So we are addressing this portion of the this portion of the package for today's session, and then we'll now move on to the custom widgets. How do you create your own widgets, and how do you extend an existing widget? Another very important point what Dojo has is, because it is object oriented, that is one advantage. It also has a life cycle for a widget. So you take any widget for that matter, whenever we instantiate a widget, we make use of something called as Dojo type. All of the Dojo developers know that. So the minute you say Dojo type is something, that widget's life cycle gets executed. And every life cycle has lot of methods. If I execute a typical example now, you would be able to see how, in which order all these things execute. For us, more important is when I extend a widget in Dojo, what are the things which I need to take care, or what are the methods which I need to override. One of the very, very important method which I need to know as a developer whenever I am extending a widget is a method called as postCreate, which is invoked after your DOM node is created. So anything you want to add to that particular DOM node, anything you want to customize, anything you want to update, can go into the postCreate method of the Dojo's widget lifecycle. Similarly, you have startup, This is after you complete all your modifications to instantiate that particular widget, the startup method is invoked. Whenever you create a digit in script, it is a general practice that we forget to call this startup method. The startup is the one which will usually ensure that your widget is instantiated. You also have destruction methods like uninitialize, which will make sure that whatever widgets are created, they are also destroyed when the life cycle ends. So it is a typical step-by-step object-oriented approach which Dojo follows. So that is one of the biggest advantages. So what we do to extend a widget is we either extend underscore widget class, okay, of Dojo, and I create my own widget by overriding any of these lifecycle methods. Very importantly, post create and startup methods for us as developers. You can also add getters and setters for your attributes of Dojo lifecycle, and you have something called as DOM node attribute, using which you will be able to access that DOM node for which you have mapped this custom type. Fine. And then you have connect and subscribe. Again, we will have a section on that. So before going to that, let me show you an example of a custom widget. So if you look at this, it is actually showing you some of the lifecycle methods below. I'm not too sure if it is visible there. The constructors, post mixin properties, post create and all that in the Firebug console, they are all coming from the lifecycle method. This is just a basic example. Let me show you an example on which I worked. Now there is data grid in which you have drop down, correct? The data grid's drop down is basically not supported to get values from backend. It can only get the static values. So when I click on any of these, the values which come under the drop down can only be static by default. But then you can extend it. So you can, right now whatever you are able to see is making an Ajax call. Are you able to see this? It is making an Ajax call to companies.json and loading that. So this was one of the extensions added, and how did we map was by giving the appropriate Dojo type. So whenever you have that particular editable data grid, and then you can actually go and look at the type. When the type is usually the built-in type, here the type is my own type. I am saying my extension dot grid cells combo box. Instead of the Dojo's combo box, I am using my own combo box there, which is actually extended to support a store. So if you look at that, I am giving a store attribute which is reading from companies.json, and then I have the search attribute name which is loading the data, right? So that is how you can extend a typical widget. A widget not only does an extension wherein you are trying to say I am extending from combo box and having my own combo box, I can also make a widget very intelligent. That means a widget can be self-contained in Dojo. So the minute I say a widget is of Dojo type this, that particular widget's lifecycle can itself make an Ajax call. Okay, when doing a post create and load the data for itself. So that makes that particular widget very intelligent, and I don't have to depend on any other code for this. That is very special about how Dojo works. So if at all I look at an example here, the code of this particular so I have written my own widget here which calls Ajax widget, which is getting the data from Ajax call. If you see this, correct? So it is in the post create here, wherein I am able to make an Ajax call to index.jsp, and then I am calling a normal Ajax call which is loading the data which is coming from the server. And where am I loading it? In my node, which is actually a node which is whose data type or whose Dojo type is this particular custom widget. So you can access that DOM node by saying this dot DOM node, get that widget. Similarly, you can access attributes. If at all you have given any custom attributes, I have given an attribute called as message to that. I am saying this dot message. You can read all those attributes of the markup in the widget, make use of that, make an Ajax call, load the same particular markup with data from server. So this makes Dojo very, very suitable for complex applications. So Cisco is one such site which is using Dojo extensively, wherein it is completely built upon the intelligent widget support of Dojo. So let us move on to some of the performance related things when it comes to Dojo. So you have a feature called as parse on demand. all of us know that we usually say parse on load is equal to true. When I am loading Dojo itself, I want to parse Dojo types. Wherever there are Dojo types, I want to convert them. But what happens is, the minute I say parse on load is equal to true, it scans the whole document for detecting Dojo types. Instead of doing that, I can also make this happen on demand. That means when I click on something, only when I can say parse only this portion of the portion of the page for detecting Dojo types. I can pass a div ID and say only in this div I have loaded some Dojo widgets, so parse only this, don't scan the whole document. So that makes it more performance oriented. So a very basic example here on that. So if at all you see here, the minute I say invoke the parser, it parses only that portion of the, so I am not doing it on page load, but I am doing it on demand. Now similarly, I have other performance kind of issues. Now Dojo also has a support for event handling. We are familiar with event handling when it comes to unobtrusive JavaScript, which even jQuery has, and typically it is done using dojo.connect. You have a mechanism of publish and subscribe also in Dojo. That means like you have in bulletin boards, I can publish something and somebody who is subscribing to it can actually listen to that and do something. So this mechanism of Dojo is specially introduced, which whereas dojo.connect is similar to any other frameworks, unobtrusive JavaScript, publish and subscribe mechanism of Dojo is special in case of Dojo because of the way it operates. You publish an event name and somebody who wants to do something on that can subscribe to that event name and say when this event is fired, do this particular function. Yes. Pardon? Unobtrusive JavaScript is decoupling script from the markup. Earlier we were, okay, how many more minutes do I have? 4 minutes, okay. Usually we say input type is equal to something and I say on change is equal to something. So I map this on change event to the markup inline. If you move that to script section, that becomes unobtrusive JavaScript. So you are moving the script mapping away from the markup. So that is called as decoupling that. Yes, but then for JavaScript you will have to do a lot of this thing. Here it supports lot of other things implicitly also. This unobtrusive JavaScript is not specific to Dojo. That's the reason I am not stressing there on that, because it is there in native JavaScript, it is there in every other framework. But apart from that, it has publish and subscribe. That is what I was trying to say. Unobtrusive JavaScript is very commonly used. Pardon?
They are in jQuery also with custom events and all. We can listen and we can trigger this.
Not up to this much of powerful. So if at all you would like to see a demo, it would be very clear to you that there are some events which you can have your custom, as well as some of the built-in events are also published, for which you can listen and do a lot of things. So for example, you have tab container. The Dojo itself publishes some events on the tab container select events. So Dojo publishes a lot of events on its own, to which you can just listen. Custom event publishing we all know. You just say publish my event, you listen to my event. But there are a lot of things which are internally supported in Dojo. For for a lot of things it implicitly fires publish. Correct. They implicitly have support for publish and subscribe.
Oh, that is provided by even the jQuery UI widgets also, right?
But UI widgets, again you have limitations there. Not all the UI widgets are available. If you have a plugin which you have incorporated, if the person has not subscribed to publish and subscribe, then you will not be able to use it. But this is for everything.
That is very common nowadays, right?
Pardon?
Nobody does a tight coupling nowadays, right? So
Pardon?
subscribe is very common nowadays.
Correct. But here the entire widget of Dojo has support for including every widget in as part of the life cycle itself. Publish and subscribe is embedded, and that's a best practice even when you extend it. I am trying to say that you have plugins in jQuery. You don't have such a huge set, right? If the plugins
Actually, you're confusing between Dojo and jQuery. jQuery is a library, it's not a framework, right? So when you
Correct.
say that you have plugin for jQuery, that's a wrong thing, because jQuery is a library and Dojo is a framework, right?
actually that's what we made it very evident in the beginning of the session, that we are not trying to say that this is. It is actually two different scenarios in which both of them are used, but we are trying to make a comparison in terms of widget by saying when you go for a heavy duty application, why do you choose Dojo? That is what is our motive. That is what I made clear, so that you don't come at this kind of conclusion, because I know there are a lot of people who love jQuery, including Lakshmi here. She is a jQuery SME. She's been working on that. So So that's the reason I don't want to offend anybody here. But then I'm a Dojo developer, so I want to convey this to both the developers, right? So to end the session, I would like to say that you can build Dojo on your own way. That means in case you are not happy with the way Dojo is building, you have an online link also. You can choose only these components of Dojo I am using in my application. You can actually click on, select only those components, and you can say build my Dojo only for this. Because Dojo is very huge. As part of Digit, you have a lot of things. So in case you're not using certain things, you can actually exclude them from the build so that you are not including it as part of your project build. So there is something called as custom build also. And we have a Dojo shrink safe, which helps you actually compress your JavaScript, minify your JavaScript. So those two are part of the Dojo util, the util which I was talking about. It has support for minification. It also has support for the custom build. And custom build is also available online today. You can just choose whichever options you want, and then you can click on a build button. It builds a custom Dojo which is lesser in size. So talking about the size, you can also go for the CDN support which is available for Dojo. In case you do not want to have the entire Dojo in as part of your application, you can go for CDN support which is available for Dojo also. So that kind of brings us to the end of session. Thank you very much for listening to us, and not to again offend anybody here. So if you have any queries, you can drop any of us an email. My email ID is vinabibhat@yahoo.co.in and
lakshmishri.vinod@gmail.com. So
you can drop
to us anytime.
a mail in case you have any queries, or you can talk to us anytime. We are here for 3 days.
We have a jQuery Ajax workshop on the last day. So in case you guys are interested, it's basically from the basics of jQuery Ajax to probably slightly advanced topics. So in case you're interested, you can go to the help desk. They'll give you a set of links which you have to prepare on your system.
It's a hands-on session.
It's a hands-on session, yeah.
Participate in that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.